Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey!
This Saturday, if you are in America, or this Sunday, if you are in New Zealand, somewhere in between for the rest of the world, is WWE's Summerslam 2022 pay-per-view. We've got 8 matches to talk about and a mysterious disappearing 9th match that we want to give a little bit of time to as well. So we just got to crack right on into this, and we're going to open it up with some of the matches that are not for championships, and that is including Pat McAfee's return to the ring, this time against Happy Corbin.
This has been an entertaining feud. I think McAfee's brought the best out of Corbin. And McAfee's just pure gold as it is. I think this will be a good match. I think it'll be a really good match. People will be talking about it, I feel like, afterward.
It seems like every time McAfee gets in the ring, he always produces gold.
Yeah, and I think people will remember just a little bit about just how good Happy Corbin is.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pat wins. But I definitely think this is going to be one of those people are going to be talking about it in the week's cap.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Pat McAfee's going to walk out the winner. He's obviously had his stuff in NXT, he's had his WrestleMania stuff, and now he's got this stuff here with Happy Corbin. I don't know, it feels like we don't get a whole lot if Corbin ends up winning, but if Pat wins, then we've got obviously a bunch to go off of there. I do wonder how long it will be for Happy Corbin before he ends up losing that name and picking up another name, as we've seen him do a number of times. But if we're talking about, I guess, celebrity versus wrestler, and yes, I've given up on this and I'm just going to be talking about him now. Logan Paul is returning again, also from WrestleMania, this time to take on his tag team partner, The Miz, or former tag team partner.
I think this is going to be a really good match too. I would say definitely bringing in Paul. The best person to work with would be The Miz, at least on the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that they're trying to shoehorn him in a role that he doesn't fit in.
Nobody's ever going to cheer him.
But that was apparently part of his contract, so they have to do it. Or so I've heard on the internet. I think we see the celebrity win. I don't think there's anything that's gained with The Miz winning.
Yeah, I think that's the way this one gets cut as well. I'm with you. I think it's a little silly, the roles that both people are playing, but I'm sure it'll come out in the wash later on down the line where no matter who you put against him, he still ain't getting shared. You know, if it ain't The Miz, really, you've got no luck there, buddy. The Miz is good at his job. I'd put this in a similar... It's almost like a mirror copy of Corbin McAfee, right? I think the celebrity will win. I think the opponent will do amazing at helping them through and along, and both celebrities have put effort into training and can put on good matches. I think they're both going to be really good. There are exhibition sort of matches here on SummerSlam, and ultimately it's probably the two celebrities that are going to be walking out the winners. And then our last match that is not for a championship, it is a tag team match, a no disqualification tag team match to be exact. It is going to be the Mysterios versus the Judgment Day, with a returning Rhea Ripley by their side.
Yeah, this should be fun to watch. I think it'll be a decent match. I'm not expecting a grandiose tag team match, at least not the way we'll get in the other one that we'll talk about later. I think Judgment Day wins.
I don't think the question on this one is about necessarily who wins. I'm with you. I think on paper the Judgment Day is going to win. The question is, is Dominic going to join the Judgment Day before, during, after the match? Is he going to hold off? Etc., etc. That's, I think, the big storyline piece for this one, not necessarily who gets the dub.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the more interesting story in this is Dominic Mysterio and what he does, because I think it also will show if they have any kind of faith in Dominic, or if they just with Daddy.
Yeah, we've been sitting here for a while saying it's time for a bit of a change for Dominic. Here it is, it's sitting right in front of you. Just gotta reach out and take it. You talked about another tag team match. Let's get on to that one. Championships on the line. The Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. It is the champions, the Usos from the Bloodline, taking on the Street Profits with their special guest referee, Jeff Jarrett.
This will be match of the year candidate.
Calling it now.
It will be the match of the night. Unless the only match that could possibly touch it would be Bianca, Belair, and Becky. But this will be the best match, and it will be fire. And I think this is where the Street Profits get their crown.
Oh, you're thinking title change?
I'm thinking title change, yes.
I don't know, I guess I just got so sucked into or so used to the fact that Roman Reigns and the Usos don't lose. That, it was almost a foregone conclusion in my mind. The Usos defending their championships, of course they're gonna win. You got Jeff Jarrett, the notorious sleazeball, as the special guest referee. All the signs seem to point towards the Usos, but I'm not gonna sit here and doubt you if you're pulling out a Street Profits win.
I think this is like the tip of the iceberg. I think this is the beginning of some of the downplay of the Bloodline. We do need to start moving past the faction a little bit. So I see the chip in the armor being that the Usos were unable to in a fair match,
quote unquote, with Jeff,
to beat the Straight Profits.
Yeah, I feel
that's
like
the outcome I want to see, because the other outcome that I see happening is a disaster. And that's the Street Profits breaking up.
Gotcha.
Because those are the two outcomes to this match. The Usos retain and the Street Profits are done. Or the Street Profits win the championship and the Bloodline start to show their faults.
Someone's breaking up is what you're saying. Yeah, I feel like we've been sitting here and saying, it's time for the Bloodline to show cracks again for months on end. We've been sitting there and saying, like, oh, they'll lose this title or they'll lose this title, and they'll slowly start separating and cracking apart, and we just keep not getting it. It does have to happen eventually, for sure. I don't know what the long-term plans are in terms of, are we getting The Rock? Are we holding the title until then? Do we have this cash-in? And so many factors floating around at the moment that we just don't quite fully grasp, I guess, where the Bloodline storyline is going. I do think, we've had it for the better part of 2 years. And it could probably do with a bit of a break, and I'm with you. If the Street Profits separate and go their separate ways, we'll have even less tag teams in the division to keep running, and unfortunately one of the better ones too will be on the breakup. One last thing before we go into our entrance theme or our song for this week, and it is the cancelled match, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it. Basically, leading up to this pay-per-view, we talked about it a few times. It was going to be Riddle versus Seth Rollins. We had the storyline going. They were getting at each other. And then Seth attacks Riddle, beats him up a little bit. And now he's seemingly, kayfabe injured, pulled off to the sidelines to delay the match for later. And that came out, not too long ago before recording. So I don't really know where we sit with that match.
The match is done. It's gone. But from what we can tell, based on Triple H, the new control of creative, which is something we probably should talk about too.
That's true.
It does sound like Seth's still going to have a match. Against two, it's really not known. If this was a year ago, I would have said probably Triple H himself.
Heart condition, Triple H.
Yeah, pre-pacemaker. I think they might default to Shane McMahon. It could be Shane, it could be Goldberg for all we know. But we definitely will see Seth in the ring on Saturday. I don't know about winning though.
Yeah,
It's possible it could also be this could all have been a storyline to begin with, and it's the return of Randy Orton.
true. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. One thing there that you did mention that I guess we can give a little bit of airtime to. I'm not going to give airtime to the first chunk of it. I'm going to ignore that. We had our little piece on that a couple weeks ago. We talked about it. We're going to move on. But the fallout from that is that Triple H has moved into that head of creative role. There do appear to be some shakeups behind the scenes in terms of who's running things, talent relations, etc., etc. And ultimately, kind of surprised that the Seth Rollins Riddle match is the only one that got shaken up. Because, we had mentions of Brock Lesnar walking out and then, being convinced to come back, and bits and pieces changed here and there. They were calling up Goldberg last minute to try and pull him in if Brock did walk, and a lot of stuff floating around at the moment. It is a bit of a period of change, but 90% of the SummerSlam card does look like the way that we were going to get it, let's say a month ago, for example.
Yeah, nothing really changed. Not even on Monday when people were starting to celebrate Raw. It was already pre-written and everything before everything went down with the retirements. So, yeah.
It's a long-term thing. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to be able to click your fingers and now Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa for an 60-minute Iron Man match will be the main event of Raw. It's just not the way it's going to work. And it's just going to take time as people transition into new roles and as storylines finish off and new storylines start and the bits and pieces all start falling into place. Then maybe we'll see a little bit of changes here and there, but don't expect a drastic, overnight change. Don't expect Raw 2.0 anytime soon.
Yeah, but I do expect Marks to be extremely unhappy in probably about a month. That things didn't change fast enough for him.
Look, I just told them it wasn't gonna. Okay? They can't get mad.
But they're still going to, because the internet.
That is true. Well, we are roughly halfway through the show, so it is time to jump on into our song for this week. It is going to be the SummerSlam theme. It's called Summer Nights, and it's playing for you right about now. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. We still got 4 championship matches to get through. Let's start with the United States title. Bobby Lashley defending it against Mr. Money in the Bank, Theory.
I think this will be a really good match, too. The match they had at Hell in a Cell was pretty good. I think Bobby Lashley wins.
Yeah, I'd be a little surprised to see Theory, or Bobby Lashley, I guess, be, a hot potato champion here. Theory's got the Money in the Bank to worry about, as we've been talking about throughout, the past month. Reigns wants him, Lesnar wants him, Ziggler wants him, everybody wants a piece of Theory. There's no need to tie him up in that United States title just to get a feud going. The feud can just be, I hate Theory. And so why not keep the title on Bobby, have Bobby move off to something else, have another feud over that, and we might actually see Theory versus Ziggler. We might actually see something out of that. And since it's the only title that's got a match, mid-card title that's got a match at SummerSlam, I do think their match is actually going to be pretty good. I kind of hope that if they stick with the theme, we do get Bobby Lashley versus Gunther at Survivor Series. Because I think that could be quite a good big meaty men slap and meat match, but I don't really know how we're going to do it with the tag team titles and with the world title.
Yeah, I think Survivor Series is definitely going to have to change quite a bit to the reduction of championships. Assuming that things don't start exploding with those titles between now and then.
It's true. Got a little while. 3 months?
Yeah, I agree with you. And Theory is in a situation where he's still going to get pushed. People that think he's just going to immediately be dropped to the bottom of the card are dreaming. Anybody that's not biased can see that Theory has tons of potential and is poised to be the future of the company. So I think Theory will be fine. He can take a loss here because he does have that briefcase. Just like when Seth lost to Randy Orton at WrestleMania 32, right before cashing in. People don't care about the loss to Randy Orton.
That's
because
true.
of that cash in. Now, people will still remember the RKO
Of course.
because that's probably the second greatest RKO of all time.
Yeah, I was thinking it through. I think I'll give you a second.
Yeah, the only one that's better is the one on Evan Bourne.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be a good match. And whoever wins will be better off for it.
Well, I heard you say future of the company there, so I'd like to sit back and just have you explain to me in a few minutes how Liv Morgan is going to defeat Ronda Rousey, because I really need to figure that one out. Please.
I told you last week. Ronda's not going to take Liv seriously. Liv, she will take some damage from Ronda. There'll be a couple moments where it'll look like Liv isn't going to do it, and then the magic of a roll-up or something will surprise Ronda Rousey and she'll lose.
The magic of a roll-up. Strongest move in professional wrestling.
Yeah, or she just walks into Liv's finisher without realizing it.
Yeah.
But I do think Liv walks away with the title.
Has to, surely. Again, much like Bobby Lashley. But like Bobby Lashley was a head thing. It was like, I don't think they'll put him as a transitional champion. With Liv Morgan, I really hope they don't put her as a transitional hot potato champion. I think there's a lot more you can do with Liv Morgan. And this is almost a mirror of that last match as well. Ronda doesn't need the title to have good feuds. People will feud with Ronda just because she's Ronda. And then you can have, obviously, multiple feud opportunities. You can have somebody going for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and you can have somebody going for Ronda. And it just branches us out rather than, bringing all of our feuds together into one match.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I do think if they do pull it off and they put the title back on Ronda, I think there will be a mutiny.
Yeah, with the amount of support that Liv had.
Yeah. There'll be from backstage too.
Yeah.
I think you need to give Liv a nice little 4, 5, 6 month reign and see what she can do at the top of the card for SmackDown on the SmackDown side. Because you have Bianca, who's the top dog on Raw. They can carry that side. Let's see what Liv can do, and this is the perfect chance to give her a few months and see what we have.
Well, you mentioned Bianca Belair there, so we'll jump on over to the Raw Women's Championship match. Bianca Belair is defending against Becky Lynch. Hopefully going to go a little bit longer than their last SummerSlam encounter.
And here I was going to say Bianca wins in 26 seconds. Yeah, I think this will be a lot like the WrestleMania match. I think it'll be a really good match. I do think Bianca comes out on top, and we'll have to see where they go from there. These two ladies.
Yeah, it's the reason I made the opener, and I kind of agree with you in a way. I don't know, it would seem almost poetic if Bianca Belair won in a super short time against Becky Lynch, and it would kind of work the way Becky Lynch has been spiraling at the moment anyway. So I see two possibilities. I see Bianca Belair winning in a short amount of time, or these two women putting on an absolute barn burner for 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's your two options.
That's why I said this is the match that could potentially steal match of the night away from the tag team title match. Because we've seen these two women go at it and be match of the night contenders already.
Mm-hmm.
But as we just said, we've also seen them last 22 seconds. So
we don't quite know which version we're going to get.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have one match left on the card, unless I missed it, and we got a good chunk of time to talk about it, maybe 5 to 6 minutes. It is the last man standing match for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns of the Bloodline taking on Brock Lesnar.
Hopefully this goes a lot better for Roman Reigns than the last man standing match he had.
Hopefully he does not spend a good 3 minutes handcuffed to a pole.
Yes. I think this will be an interesting match. Do you think that they'll bring their biggest spots that they can have? Whoever walks out with the title is definitely going to be worse for wear. So there is always going to be that possibility of a Theory cash-in afterwards. But I'm also concerned if they do it, that they will have Theory lose.
Then he will lose all momentum.
I think what I would book is maybe whoever wins the match be standing in the ring on one knee or something, and you have Theory come out like he's going to cash in, but you have him get super kicked by Dolph Ziggler to take him out, and that's how the show ends.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't cash in.
I could definitely see a failed attempt to cash in, as you say, whether it's a Dolph Ziggler stopping him, or whether he changes his mind, or, he eats a Superman punch, or an F5, or whatever it ends up being. I could definitely see something from these guys. Obviously, it's kind of like a weird piece right now, because we've got Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. We got Theory holding that briefcase. At the time of recording, this match hasn't taken place yet, but Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus to see who's going to take on the champion at the next pay-per-view. And, the most logical, I guess, is to have Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre there. But we could end up with Theory versus Sheamus. We could end up with such weird and wacky combinations of those 5 people. There's 3 different people who could be walking in as champion. We've got 2 different people who could be walking in as the number 1 contender. And yeah, we'll just have to, I guess, wait and see how it all ends up shaking out. I don't think now is the right time for Theory to cash in. I think he should head off and have a feud about the briefcase and just continue to linger in the background a little bit. Honestly, I'm having Theory hold on to that briefcase into the new year. Quite a little while.
I'd be fine with that. But personally, what I see happening is Drew beating Sheamus on Friday. Drew beating the champion at Clash of the Castle to become champion, and immediately getting cashed in on at Theory.
Yeah.
And so it accomplishes 2 things. It gets more heat on Theory. It gives Drew a brief moment in front of his own home crowd, in front of an actual crowd, and not a TV screen crowd. And then Ed plus gives him the benefit of being the guy that stopped Roman Reigns. I think Roman wins this match. I think it's going to be one of those situations. I could actually see this being a draw. I could see the 2 of them beating each other so senseless that neither can stand at the end of a 10 count.
Oh, don't make them go again. They'll do it.
This is supposed to be the last time for a while, but we thought that at WrestleMania.
we have said that a few times.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I think Roman retains the title in some way. And then goes to Clash of the Castle to face Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I think that's our most likely outcome, and I'm with you. I'm picking Roman Reigns with the titles over his shoulder, still heading to here. I'd still be interested in some sort of title breakup-y piece, And the Money in the Bank briefcase is the only way to do that. So let's see what we end up with. We have just come up to time. Is there any... I'll do our little pieces and then I can ask you for your crazy prediction. If you want to visit us on Facebook, you can head to facebook.com/wrestling R&D up, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling R&D up, and that has all 488 episodes we have recorded, the full back catalogue sitting there for you. And Josh, I know I only gave you 30 seconds, but have you got something crazy for us?
I think Dominic Mysterio gets attacked before the match. Doesn't appear until the very end to go look like he's going to help Daddy, and turns on Ray and helps Judgment Day win.
Book it in. Well, it's been great talking to you.
Bye.
And that is all for this week's show. So we will catch you next week with those results from SummerSlam.